Welcome to the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. I'm thrilled you're here. My name is Jason Elkins, and in addition to being your host, I'm also a former U.S. Army paratrooper, third-generation commercial hot air balloon pilot, paramotor pilot, ex-Montana fly fishing guide, advanced open water scuba diver, and a full-time nomad that's visited more than 30 countries on 6 continents. As a seasoned adventure travel expert with a passion for creating and sharing meaningful experiences, I'm on a quest to impact the lives of adventure travelers, tour operators they rely on, and the communities that host them. Every week, I bring you exclusive interviews with fascinating adventure tourism experts who have agreed to share their personal stories, favorite destinations, and some invaluable travel insights they've picked up along the way. We'll enjoy a casual conversation, create some connections, and likely share some laughs. It's my hope that by the end of each episode, this big world will feel just a bit smaller. Let's get started, shall we? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Big World Made Small podcast for the adventure traveler. Happy to have each and every one of you back here today, and very excited to have my guest with me today. His name is Richard Lindberg. Richard is the founder and CEO of One Planet Journey. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's an honor. We had a conversation a few weeks ago, and I thought, man, we just need to come back and record a little longer conversation so we can share it with listeners, and appreciate you doing that. Richard, where are you physically located at the moment?
I'm in Stockholm here up, and we just had our first snow, so winter is not only coming, it is here. So,
congratulations! That's exciting. So, tell me this, do people in Stockholm look forward to the seasonal change, or is it something you dread as it comes? What's that like in your culture?
Well, I hate to speak for everyone, since I'm actually not from Stockholm. I'm from the south of Sweden, and I don't look forward to it. In fact, I normally try to escape to more southern countries during the winter, but sometimes work gets in the way, and I'm stuck here. I mean, it can be pretty sometimes when the snow actually sits, and but when it goes slushy and icy, you just don't want to be here.
Yeah, I get it. I grew up in Wyoming and lived in Vermont, and I've been traveling for 4 years, I think intentionally trying to avoid the snow. I haven't seen snow other than on the top of a mountain. I haven't seen snow in 4 years, so I'm gonna hopefully that trend will last. So anyway, Richard, we're gonna cover a bunch of things. Super excited to hear your story. Before we do that, let's give our listeners kind of just that maybe 30, 60-second elevator pitch on what is One Planet Journey. What are you doing with that?
So, One Planet Journey, we're you could see us as a inspirational platform for more deeper, more meaningful travel. And what we mean by that is that instead of just looking at, where am I going, you're asking yourself, why am I going? So it's a bit more profound purpose to your trips. We usually call it's like you want a higher return on investment on your journeys. You're already spending a lot of money on it, so why not get a better deal out of it? Also, personally, how you connect with the destination and the culture. So that's the concept we're working with, and we run a magazine, a digital magazine that you can find on oneplanetjourney.com. Where we have a global audience tuning in, to read a little bit more long-form type of articles, like I said, with inspiration as the primary aim. And we also do more B2B content towards the industry as well, about the concept itself and how you can use it to attract this type of discerning traveler that the deep traveler is, right? And there's higher profit margins at the end of the rainbow there.
Very cool. Do you feel like let's look at the consumers that are visiting the website. Do you find that, I don't know if this is a tough question, but are most of the people in the kind of decision stage, they're trying to decide where they want to go, or have they kind of already locked in on something and they're coming and absorbing your content to help them prepare? They're excited about it. Do you have a feel for that?
Yeah, I think they're in what we call the dreaming stage. So you really haven't decided where to go yet. but you're in that sweet spot. You're excited. You're going somewhere, but now you're looking for that kind of spark, and that's what we try to put in the content as well. That it's real travelers writing it. It's not me writing all of it. We do some articles ourselves, of course, but it's people like themselves. They have been to some amazing adventure. They want to write and tell about it, so they do with personal reflections. So yeah, it's the dreaming stage, the planning stage, maybe also for some. They read this content and say, hey, that night market in Singapore sounded insanely cool. So I want to go there. And then they might, look further and do more research about it and stuff like that. But that's where I think we are. And that's also why I think when we see our metrics for how long they stay on the site and how long they actually read the articles, they are long, the articles. So we do see that also reflected.
Okay. I'm curious if someone gets on the site and they spend some time and they kind of dial in on the night market in Singapore. Do you then connect them with operators or advisors that can help them plan that? Or is that kind of the next step? What does that look like?
Well, I mean, it's not implemented yet, but it's probably a logical next step, yeah. We haven't even introduced advertising on the site yet. We do have a lot of traffic to support it, and it's something we're actively pursuing now. So there would come some kind of, I was inspired by this, and then there will be, of course, relevant links and stuff to that. But there might be other more concrete things coming as well, aside from advertising. Also.
Okay. Well, cool. Excited to see where that goes. And then you mentioned that you work with destinations and maybe operators to kind of help them figure out how to get their word out. Is that tell us a little bit more about that? Because I know we've got a lot of people listening to the show that are tour operators or work for DMOs, that type of thing. So what are you doing there?
I mean, one of the things that we offer, of course, is sponsored posts. Where they can actually, they have to be done in a way that it looks like a normal article, right? As well, so inspirational in tone and following our guidelines. But it's a way to tell the audience about their services, what they do, how it resonates according to the deep travel philosophy. And so that's one way. Of course, they can do other things like in the newsletter and social media as well. Take over of certain pages on the site if they want to do a more broad campaign. So there's lots. And then we have like the Deep Travel Report that we recently launched a few weeks ago. That's another opportunity also to have more visibility if they want to be more towards the industry itself, because there's the B2B angle as well. And there is a host of other things that we are actively planning for next year. I can't really them yet because we're negotiating with partners.
You come back next year. We can.
Yeah. So there's plenty of different touch points of how to get connected with our audience.
Okay. Very, very cool. We'll probably end up coming back into that a little bit later in the conversation. But this is the fun part, the part I really enjoy, and I know our listeners enjoy, is let's figure out, Richard, how the heck you got from wherever you were to where you are now. How far back in time do you think we should go to kind of get a feel for that?
Well, it's a bit of a crooked story. Because as an entrepreneur, you know yourself, right? It's never like this. It's filled with ups and downs, and sometimes you change your mind. Oh, I didn't like this industry. I want to do this instead and stuff. So, but quick summary.
You know what, Richard? You're not alone in that. As you mentioned, myself as well. But one thing I've noticed about this, after having about 150 guests on the show, we all have these really weird up, down, left, and right journeys. So tell us yours.
Yeah, I started out as a business guy at university, dreaming about doing management consulting at some of the brand names that you probably know. But then I was doing telephone sales during the evenings to fund my studies, so I didn't want to take any loans. And I met this guy there one evening, and he had an idea for a tech company, software for mobile phones. This was way back when, way back when, before the iPhone even. So we decided to write a business plan because that's my skill, right, from the business side of studies. And we ended up winning. And long story short on that company we actually created from that business plan, which won a lot of competitions also, which made us continue. We sold the company a few years after to US investors and Swedish investors. We had offices in Asia, in Palo Alto, in Silicon Valley. And just a really pivotal type of software, which made us, our clients were the telecom sector, and we met some really cool people around the world. But yeah, we sold it, and then after that, I've been working with sustainability in one way or another. It's been everything from a nonprofit where I try to get more students at universities engaged in these kind of environmental climate issues, and that was very interesting work for 3-4 years. We did some large projects with corporates as well on that, Sweden and internationally. And then I moved to London 2014 to 16, working with impact investing or sustainable finance. It has many names, which London was an epicenter for that for those years. And there I met another very interesting person who became my co-founder for a tourism or travel-related thing, and that was my first foray into travel. That was in 2017. We did that for a few years.
Richard, before we get there, I'm curious. I have a few questions already.
Sure.
For one, you kind of took a sharp turn in my mind, just what I heard from, which we discussed, that happens, from kind of the business, the telecom stuff, and then we started talking about sustainability and environment and stuff like that. So that sounds like an interesting change. So I want to get to that, but before we do that, and maybe we can do both at the same time, I would love to hear before you started school, before you start college and went the business management route. What were you like in high school? What were you into? What was it growing up? Was travel stuff on your radar at all? Or were you just I'm going to go to business school and make a bunch of money?
Let's be honest, it was the money. I was more single-minded back then. But I mean, before university, travel has always been there, but because, living at home with my parents, of course, we traveled a lot. We have family all over the world as well. So it's been, both the US, but a lot of Europe, Southern Europe, France. I've been going there, Southern France, like every year out of my life, basically. And a lot of that. So London is what I consider my second home. I kind of grew up there when I was a kid, and I lived there as an adult several times. So yeah, definitely London is my second home. That's how I see it. So there's a bunch of places like that. So travel has always been there, and also for work, of course. But at that young age, as you mentioned, like even before college, I wasn't actually thinking about it as a career. No way.
Did you enjoy it? Just curious, did you look forward to going to any of these places?
Absolutely. That's also why I kept coming back to the same places, after I moved out of my parents' house and started the university and all that. So for me, traveling it's almost, not traveling. It's just second nature. It's, I don't know, it's just normal part of life. I love Sweden. It's one of the best countries to me, but there's so much more also to see. So sampling different countries, different cities, it's just felt normal.
Okay.
And
well, that says probably a lot about your upbringing, because not everybody thinks travel is normal at that age, or even at my age. Were your parents, did they work connected to travel at all? It was this, you mentioned family, that you would travel and visit, but what do you have an idea what inspired them to travel enough that you were traveling a lot with them?
My dad was a doctor, my mom was a teacher, so it was nothing to do with their careers. And because of their, normal careers, so to say, we traveled during the summer mostly, and then of course on the winter breaks and stuff. So it was more the traditional travel schedule, which I don't do anymore at all. I try to stay in Sweden during the summer actually and travel at other times. But I don't know. They always like to, get to warmer climates, and I think they like the Mediterranean atmosphere and stuff, and that's stuck with me as well. I mean, there's a reason for why it's the most popular travel destination, right? The European Mediterranean countries. So I guess they were not that creative in the sense that they went down there and we stuck there, and I'm stuck there as well.
Well, it seems like a pretty great place to go. I mean, you compare that to maybe people growing up in the U.S. We go to Florida. I didn't, but that's kind of, to tend to go to Florida or maybe Cancun or something like that. And one thing I've enjoyed about a lot of the Europeans that I've met, they have a tendency to have visited a lot more countries just because you have so many other countries, and every country has slightly different culture and language and food and all that stuff. So I can see how that might.
This with a lot of countries, people actually think that, you must have gone to like 150 countries. I haven't. I've been to like maybe 50, but what I do is I find someone I really like, and then I go there. Like, so for example, France, I don't know, I must have been there 50 times at least, if not more. London, I can't even count. I mean, I also lived there. So I just go to the same places. Then I discover something new, of course. But I really, really like to go back. The repeat visitor is me defined.
Okay. Interesting. Let's explore that a little bit more. I don't know where to go with that, but it sounds interesting because there's, on the other side of the spectrum, while there's a few different directions people go, but some people are just like, I got to go to as many countries as I can. There's some people out there that just are on a mission to visit all of them and do a YouTube channel every place they go, or a YouTube video every place they go. You're slightly different. I don't know. I don't have a question. Richard, give me something here.
Well, I mean, I can see the allure, right? You want to go see every country on Earth. Sure, I wouldn't mind it, but it's definitely not a mission. If it comes, it comes. What I do like is, and this is, I guess, where we come into deep travel, is understanding a destination or a place, the culture. I don't speak every language of these countries I go to, of course, but I, just try to pick up some phrases and stuff like that. That excites me, and just going, like, understand the way I understand Sweden. I like to go on that level almost with other places, and the quirks and how people behave and how they speak. Making friends, of course, is also another benefit from actually staying a bit longer and stuff. So that's always. Like in London, for example, I can be a goddamn tour guide there if somebody wants me to show them around. I know every street. I've taken every trail there is. So it's just I do everything. I don't like to leave something out. I try to I go to museums. I go to nature, and if anything, I want to see it. So.
I get that. That makes sense. I appreciate it. That was a good answer to a question I wasn't able to spit out, but it was really good. I'm curious. So like when you go to London, do you tend to, I don't know, maybe you have a place there, but do you tend to stay at the same places and then branch out from there to go explore everything? Or do you like go to a different location in London each time? Or what does that usually look like for you?
No, it's been different. Growing up, my family who lives there as well, it was a lot of west side London, so, Kensington, Chelsea, Barnes, these kind of areas out in the west. When I lived there more as an adult and I had my own apartment, I stayed in Canary Wharf or in the centre. I love the centre of London. Of course, it's so buzzing and that kind of atmosphere, but London is so much more. And I've been out all, there's zone 6, 7, with the tube and walking different trails and seeing every side of London there is. And it's so beautiful there, nature, which they have beautiful parks in the center, but there's no, and the river, of course, but it gets really rural as soon as you get out a few zones from the center. And that's really cool.
Got it. Yeah. Do you have some tips for people that are listening because I've been traveling full time for 4 years. When I started this, I was like, oh, I'm going to stay a few weeks here, go on to the next place. And I had this in my head that I was going to visit 50 countries before I turned 50 and all this stuff. And then the first place, I had traveled quite a bit for work, but this was my full-time traveling thing. The first place I went was Colombia. I thought I'd stay a month. And then 6 months later, I was like, oh, my visa's running out. I got to go somewhere else. Went somewhere else for a bit, stayed quite a while, and then came back to Colombia, keep going back to Colombia. And I tend to move much slower than I thought I would have. And I've picked up some things along the way. And I'm just curious kind of what tips you might have for people that want to really immerse themselves in a community. Because you can't just say, go to X village, X city, whatever, and just stay there for 6 months. Because they might feel isolated. They might not actually have that experience. So what tips would you give to somebody like that?
Yeah, no, we get this question a lot, and we actually have articles on the topic. But some quick fire ones, of course, is that first of all, it's a mindset thing. You have to want it, otherwise it won't work, right? So that's why we talk a lot about intentionality in deep travel. It's something you have to actively work on. But let's say you're there, you want some tips. Okay, I would definitely pursue your special interests, your passions, right? Try to find like-minded people there. That's the best way. You will enjoy it, and then you will find people that you can actually tolerate and get along with. So for me, I like history and stuff like that, so you always find people are interested in those kind of things. I also like a lot of physical activities, so sports, gym, for example. Join a local gym if you're going to be there for a longer time, right? Good way to meet people as well. And what else? Go shopping at the local food markets. Have your own place. Make food. That's a great way to understand the culture as well. Like I said before, picking up some local phrases. If you're a nomad, for example, and of course you have co-working spaces, another great way to meet people. Not only other travelers, but there are some locals as well, of course. I would try to find as many touch points as possible where there will be locals there, because there's nothing better than to get their perspective on it, and for them to really get you even deeper into it, like you want to by yourself, right? Make sure if you're going to do tours and stuff like that, try to pick something that's really run by somebody from the place itself. I do a lot of research before I go. I read books, before I go, during the time I'm there, and also after. So if you're into reading like I am, that's a good way. Journaling is another, to get more reflective on your experiences, which can also help you have a better experience next time you go somewhere, right? Because when you start jotting things down and you really think about it, what did I enjoy? What did I not enjoy? The thing with deep travel is it's personal growth and personal development is so intricately tied to it. And that's something we talk about a lot. And it's a way for you to, like we said, get a higher return on investment as you go along in your own journeys as well. It helps you connect deeper with the destinations.
Right. One of the things you said kind of triggered a thought for me. You said you like to read and research a lot before you go. And it occurred to me, there's been a few things that I've read that if I wasn't so open-minded and adventurous, I may have actually avoided going to a place like Colombia or Thailand, or, because what I've noticed is I read some stuff before. I don't read as much ahead. I think I kind of like surprises. So I tend to not read so much until I get there. And then when I'm there, I get really interested, or I especially the social media groups, the expat groups or these forums, and you start reading stuff in there and you're like, wow, why are these people here? They clearly don't even seem to like it here. And they're, they've got so much negative energy. So do you have thoughts on how people can avoid being influenced by the negative stuff, or is that important to process? I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Well, my personal opinion, it kind of ties into this with reviews and stuff as well, right? I don't care. Because for me, I make up my own mind, and this applies in life in general, not only for travel, of course. If I want to have an opinion about something, I have to live through it myself. I'm not going to listen to anybody else that much. I mean, I guess that's also why I'm running my own businesses, because I'm not...
It's just part of who you are.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do the research, of course, but take everything with a grain of salt, because these things are so exaggerated, both on the positive and the negative side, right? So,
that's true, yeah.
If you want to go to Colombia, go to Colombia. I've heard so many great things, because now obviously I'm so connected with travelers all over the world, and people are writing and other people, and when you hear their experiences, and I've asked these kind of questions that you're raising about safety and stuff, it's like a totally different thing than what you read in the general news or news cycles and stuff. So make up your own mind. The research for me is more background material to understand the country I'm going to. It's not to dissuade me from going anywhere or encourage me in that way. It's for me, like when I went to Rwanda, for example, I wanted to understand what the country is like now after what happened there in 1994 and things, or what's going on. How is London changing as a city, with all the changes that's been going on since 2016. Stuff like that interests me. Reading is a great way, I think, to understand a place. It's a complement, of course, to getting to know the people.
Right. I guess as you started answering, I expected you to say, stay out of the expat forums on social media. one way to avoid that. But really, that's what your website is for as well, is for people to go get that stuff that's not all negative, just people sitting around complaining about stuff.
We actually have that as a policy or a guideline point in for our writers, that I usually say that quite bluntly. I don't want any negative stuff, right? Because if you had a bad experience, with a restaurant, that's your bad experience. It's not 100% guaranteed that will be for somebody else. So leave that out. I don't like that kind of vibe in the writing. It doesn't serve anything. So, and there's plenty of places that do negative so much better. So let them focus on that.
Facebook.
No names mentioned. And so no, we focus on the positive, inspirational things, as I mentioned in the beginning, and then people can use our part as one part of the research, and then they go to other sites for other pieces that they need for their research.
Very cool. I'm just curious about the writing part. How many articles, or how much are you actually writing for publication, kind of as you're traveling, or just over the course of a year? Is that a major time commitment for you, or are you doing other stuff?
It's dwindling. I started out writing most of it, when we got started, of course, and then it's just gone down all the time, my own writing, which I hate, because I do like writing. But obviously, as the business grows, there's so many other things, as you know, taking time. And also, of course, you have to expand. You have to think about the business, the monetization, marketing, all those kind of things take time out of your. What I actually spend a lot of time on now is editing. We also have some people helping with that, but I'm a bit of a control freak, so I spend a lot of time on the editing, and it's very hard to automate these kind of things, because it's a lot feelings based. Having that. Okay, this word just doesn't work here. Let's change it. We need this keyword here, or something like that. I haven't found a really good way to automate things like that, so I'm still using it. But hopefully that also gives it a more human touch, which we want in the articles.
Actually, as you mentioned that, it makes sense. Do you feel like your articles that are on your website that you're working with is experiential based, human? I'm curious if you were running a blog for tech articles, do you feel like it would be much easier to automate? Like you could probably use a lot of AI to just automate a lot of that stuff, but you can't because of the nature of your writing, or you just feel like that's generally the same across industries?
No, for travel, the type of travel we do, it's an absolute no-no with that kind of automation, AI automation, definitely. And that's also one of our, that is actually the top point in our guidelines, no AI. And that, yeah, it's something, of course. If I were running a tech blog and just reporting on, let's say new developments in the space, because there's not too much feeling. People just want the information. It doesn't really matter that much. If it's a longer piece of you're analyzing a specific company or a specific phenomena of technology, sure, then you would have to write it yourself. But for shorter, just info pieces, do it. Of course, with AI, I was just commenting on somebody on LinkedIn this morning, is that it's riddled with so many mistakes so far, right? So it is time consuming, and if you use AI to sift through you have to do so much double checks and research anyway to make sure it's factually accurate. So, I mean, you see a lot of content out there where people don't take the time to do that, and it's ridiculous. And the trust goes down in the basement. So
it's amazing how bad some of it is. And I don't know, I was going to say, especially in travel, or maybe I just notice it because I'm more likely to see things that are travel related. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. What about for idea generation? How do you feel about, right? I mean, because that's where I've gotten the most use out of it, is just bouncing ideas around, because it's not relying on the AI. It's just to get my brain working sometimes. It's like I'm asking myself the question, I hear a response, and I go back and forth, and then I come up with ideas. How do you feel about it for that?
Totally. I use it. I mean, I use AI every day, so let's not knock the technology. I love it in one way. So for idea and, validating stuff, and, it's great because there you're not so reliant on actually getting 100% right. It's a sounding board. So for that, I'm totally for it. And I do tell the writers as well, if you need to do it for research, like find out something extra at some point, of course, or even to create some kind of outline. That's fine as well.
Mm-hmm.
What points to cover if you're, because sometimes your brain is so focused on specific things that you like that you forget other things. And I say to the writers, keep in mind the reader, right? We have to provide practical value for the reader. And that means that even some things that I don't think about myself has to be in the article to give that kind of value to the reader. So that there the AI can help, but don't let it do any output, final output kind of thing.
I don't think you've used it in this conversation. I'm curious, do you use the word blog? I'd love to have that conversation. Is your website a blog? What does that really mean?
No, we say it's a magazine, and that's the type of feel we want to have in the articles as well. I mean, the articles have elements of personal reflections, but that's because I think it fits the narrative with deep travel and the whole personal development angle. But otherwise, it has a lot of, this kind of practical information as well. So sometimes we do these practical tips on this, how to get from one place to another. So it has more of a magazine feel, and that's what I'm trying to build here. The lines might blur sometimes, but I don't use the word. Never been a huge fan of the word, actually.
Okay.
But
I was just curious, because if I met you in a bar or whatever, and you explained to me what you're doing in my limited understanding of magazine publication, I would say, oh, it sounds like a blog. And you'd look at me, no, it's not a blog, it's a magazine. And I might say to you, Richard, what's the difference? So I'm curious, how do you, because I bet you've been asked that question.
If I or my wife wrote all the content myself or ourselves, it might more lean towards a blog. But since we have 50 plus different writers contributing content at any time, it's definitely not that, because it's something completely different in my mind.
Got it. So what I just heard you say, a blog is more of a personal, these are my articles, this is what I write, and it's kind of
my feeling is like that.
Tied to
yes.
Them. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, thank you. I learned something new every episode, so I appreciate that. Let's go back, because I feel like we missed. That was a really great diversion, and I want to go back to the point where you said you had, if you can remember exactly where we were, kind of about the progression. You did the tech communications project, and then you said you started your first foray into the travel space. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so this was while I was in London, last time I was living there, and then it was we wanted to do a kind of service that was like TripAdvisor style, but reviews of hotels, restaurants, anything travel related based on sustainability factors. So we had a 200 kind of framework factors that you could rate 1 to 5, based on scientific and sustainable development goals and stuff like that. We developed it. We got a lot of reviews, ratings flowing in on the page. And then when it was time to start monetizing, pandemic came around. So, and there were a lot of people involved in that project, because we had developers and marketing people and the whole works. So I had to put that down, because I saw the writing on the wall quite early in this whole mess. And, when your potentially biggest clients are all bleeding money and they're asking themselves if they're going to survive, then I didn't see how we're going to monetize anytime soon. So I put it down quite early in the process, and then we didn't have any lockdowns in Sweden, so we were out traveling here quite a bit, me and my wife. And once things started to get back to normal, I had an urge to get back into travel, and that's how One Planet Journey was born.
So I'm curious. I read an article. Maybe it was an article you posted or shared, because I see a lot of your stuff on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. But I read something recently that talked about some of the bigger review platforms that had somehow gone in and analyzed how people responded to questions about sustainability. And it was interesting, because it kind of brought up this whole thing, like, how does a hotel guest really, like, if I go to a hotel and you say, is the place sustainable, or is it environmentally friendly? That's a really hard question to answer. And if I think, you know what, it seemed like a great hotel, the sheets were clean, there was a sign that said, don't, you can reuse your towels, and it wasn't too noisy at night, and I had an overall good experience, I'm probably going to just go down the line and check everything good, unless there's a reason not to. So what are your thoughts? Like, how do you get a consumer to rate something on sustainability and have those numbers mean something? Because obviously you gave it a lot of thought with this other project.
Yeah, I mean, so you know how all these certifications are out there, right? So certain hotels, they have these logos everywhere, and for them to get that, there's a lot of things they have to do, and they can be broken down into social aspects, environmental aspects, cultural, financial, all that kind of stuff. So what we did was break those things down into quite easy, like, did the hotel ask you to reuse your towels? Simple things like that. Was there organic food on the menu? Did they have vegan choices? Yada, yada, yada. Did you see solar panels on the roof? Was there electric charging points for the car rentals, or, in the parking lot? So a bunch of questions like this, over 200 actually. Obviously, nobody's going to rate all of it. You had certain things that you saw and stuff. So we pictured this service as a kind of like reality check, or these certifications are one thing, but what do people actually see and experience themselves when they're visiting? So it was like a complement to all of that. And we've seen some of the review platforms incorporate some sustainability, but it's like one question maybe or something like that. This was more comprehensive. It is very difficult, and of course with the whole reviews in general, there's so much fake stuff that can be done, so it wasn't an easy thing. I mean, you had to spend a lot of time and effort also to weed out what's not accurate.
That's interesting. Do you think right now, if I or somebody came to you and said, I want to launch a new review site, whatever, and like, do you have a knee-jerk reaction like, yeah, this is probably not the right time because of all the fake stuff and the AI? Because I'm thinking pretty soon, within a few years, people aren't even going to read reviews anymore because both the reviews themselves and the responses are being AI generated. And it just seems like a death spiral loop of, why do I want to go read reviews that were written by a computer to see how the owner responded, what was written by a computer? And it's like, oh, that doesn't really help anymore. What do you think?
I think that I'm, although it was sad, of course, to end the project, given that we did that before the AI craze came out, I'm happy that we actually did that, who didn't pursue it, because I don't know all the technical wizardry, but I cannot see how reviews will survive and with AI coming out like this, and where it's so difficult to understand if it's fake or not, and the whole farming, with people sitting there in factories writing or automated writing of reviews, negative or positive. I mean, somebody has to come up with some kind of insanely good solution to combat that I don't see. So that's why I don't pay attention, like I said before, to reviews.
Yeah, no, same here. I've been having this thought, and it can be faked. I know that AI video and stuff like that's going to get better and better, but I'm starting to really think that kind of a video testimonial, especially for small operators that really create a good connection with their clients. Let's say I've got a little 10-room lodge somewhere, and if I can get 3 or 4 people that have stayed there that will book a 15-minute call and just have a conversation and create some little clips. And you've got, you go to the website, there's a little carousel of video testimonials. I think that could be pretty huge for an operator. I mean, obviously you're not going to capture the wide breadth of reviews, because if someone really hates it, they're probably not going to want to show up and have a conversation about it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think video, again, here, it depends on how it goes with the technological development. But it will be harder to fake, let's put it that way. And actually, I mean, there's, do you know Martin Rosenberg? He's doing overseas TV info. He's pretty active on LinkedIn as well. They have this
not sure if I've connected with him, yeah.
I'll connect you, because he is doing something really cool, I think, with video and in this regard, where they have this platform where people upload kind of video testimonials of places they visited. And I think that's
cool.
A really cool thing to do. Of course, they have, since it's his platform, they can also monitor and stuff like that. So you won't have, it's not like anybody can upload just stuff like that. So
probably a good thing. Yeah. Have some control over it. Who knows what's going to show up?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a very cool thing, and we also pushed it in one of our newsletters, and I think they're growing quite fast. So, but I'll definitely connect you with him.
Yeah, it's just been an interest to me. Obviously, I spend a lot of time having conversations, and I create some video clips and stuff like that. And I was thinking, geez, if I owned a lodge, I'd want to have some video clips of people that stayed at my lodge, and turn that into one instead of the TripAdvisor carousel that everybody has.
Yeah, exactly.
Just have a few of my very excited and the guests that really had a great experience. I'd want their little video clips on there, but. Anyway, okay.
I think just at one point on that is the thing, right? With all this AI and fakeness and what have you, or inhumanness, there is a counter revolution always to any of these things. When one thing swings on the extreme on one end, and that is, I think there will be much more value placed on the real thing, the human experience of this, and this. It's something that we want to capture, and one of the reasons also now for One Planet Journey And the success we've had so far in terms of traffic is I think, because people also see this and they want something genuine.
I'm just curious. I've spent some time on your website. It's beautiful and there's some great articles. But one thing I didn't notice, do you consciously make an effort to make it clear to readers that kind of what your editorial guidelines are around AI? I mean, would it be smart for a company to brand themselves as a no AI magazine?
I thought about it, but no, because, as I said, also, I use myself every day, right, for various purposes.
Right.
So I don't want to come out or have a company come out as being some kind of Luddite, because that's not what we are. We like this technology, but just for the writing aspect, maybe I think it goes without saying also because the search engines will penalize you if you just publish AI slop, right? Which is interesting since they're creating the AI also. But I don't think we need to mention it. People will just see or read and understand that it's actually based on actual human experiences, because we also don't want people writing about stuff that they haven't done, right? Don't tell me about 5 bars in Budapest if you haven't been to them, which is 90% of the travel writing I feel, or maybe I'm exaggerating, but that's, when you read stuff, it's like anybody could have written this with 2 minutes on the AI.
And, it's interesting because most people are not going to notice that unless they've been there. So you mentioned 5 bars where?
Budapest, yeah, I was just making up an example.
No, I get that, but I'm just trying to refer back to that in the sense that if you've been to 5 bars and then you read an article about 5 bars that was done by AI for somebody that's never been, it's going to probably be pretty obvious. But if you haven't been, it's a little bit harder. And I'm not really going anywhere with this other than it can be a little tricky. People might not always recognize it.
Yeah, but it depends on where you are, right? In your travel journey booking process, let's say. And that's why I said we're in the dream inspiration phase. So if you already committed yourself, you're going to Budapest, flights, hotels, everything is booked. Now you're looking at what to do, what to eat, fun stuff to go out drinking in the evening or something. Then you only maybe need some quick examples. You're not interested in reading like a long essay about it. So there are like different phases of discovery as well for this type of thing, and where some kind of like shorthand travel writing listicles that you see everywhere, social media, top 10, do this, don't miss this in Budapest or Prague or whatever, they might work in those cases, right? And then, of course, not every traveler is the same. We try to say that you should see deep travel as a spectrum, right? Every journey has a different purpose. Sometimes you just had a rough time, let's say, and you just need to relax. You just want to be on the beach for 5 days. That's okay. It doesn't have to be deep. It's a normal trip. Other times you're on the extreme end. You might want to do mindfulness 7 days in a temple or something. Very deep. Okay. And there's everything in between. Different journeys, different times, different types of information you're after. We fill a certain purpose, but we don't do everything.
You mentioned that you guys weren't really locked in Sweden during COVID.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you the initial business plan with the reviews, kind of that went away. And then you came out of COVID and started One Planet. Why? What was were you sitting around thinking about this a lot while you were not traveling the world? Why did you decide to do this?
No, so let's see, end of 2022. I think that's 2022, things started going back to normal, right? Roughly, at least here in Europe.
I think that's about right, yeah.
Yeah, so what we decided to do, me and my wife, was to take the car here from Stockholm, and in November, it was just beginning of November, we took the car, drove down to Lisbon, and we stayed there for a month, and then we continued driving to what was the next destination? Nice. No, Lisbon to Marbella. Marbella was the next 1 month there, 1 month in Nice, 1 month in Amalfi, and of course a lot of stops and stuff during the way. So we were away for like 5 months plus, November 22 to April 2023. A very deep travel type of journey, which I didn't even know about at the time, in those terms. But the whole thing was a game changer. We still keep talking about this trip almost every day, right? It was so bloody great in every way you can imagine, because we were living there, we were renting cool apartments in the cities, using local food and getting to know people. And it was off season, so it was much more calm. And this is also the reason now I always try to travel at this time. And for us from Scandinavia, I mean, we can still swim. It's no problem. I was swimming in Nice in January, for example.
No
there was
big
not
deal.
many people. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's still 18 degrees. It's like, okay, that's normal here. So for me, it was an eye-opener because, like I told you before, for example, in Nice, we were always going during the summer. That was like always be there in July and stuff to see the fireworks, July the 14th. And this was like so much better in my mind. I understand, of course, it's nice in the summer also, but I just weighing all the stuff together, this was a better choice for me, for us. And this trip really hammered home also that I like the whole world of travel. And so we came home and I decided to get back into it. And this time I said to myself, I don't want to be reliant on the success of this on other people. So I didn't want to do any techie kind of thing with development and stuff. Of course, now with AI, you can use it for coding, but no. So that's why I wanted to focus more on content and thought leadership and things like that. So that's why I developed. So that trip was the birth pang of One Planet Journey.
That's very cool. And is your wife involved in One Planet Journey as well? I think you mentioned earlier, it sounds like it's something you're working on together, right?
Yeah, I mean, to a lesser extent, but yes, she's not in the same amount of hours put in, but in terms of influence, yes, she's very instrumental to it. A lot of the marketing and things like that, which is her domain, definitely.
It's not fair to ask you to tell me what she thinks, so I'm not going to do it that way, but I'm curious. This trip that you took, you mentioned 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Was it as profound for her, do you think? Because it sounds
so.
like it clearly was for you.
Yeah, no, I think for her as well. Because I got to show her also a lot of my favorite places in Europe. And I think also for her it was, living that long, so to say, and it was just like a continuous adventure, right? Because I'm also I don't like to sit still, so we had to do stuff all the time. It was just insane. So we both talk about it. I don't think it's in my mind only.
Very, very cool. I've been traveling. Nothing, I don't like the word alone, but I've been solo traveling for 4 years. And I'm also about shared experiences. So I make a real conscious effort to connect with other people, locals, other travelers as well. But I also recognize that traveling with a spouse or a close romantic partner can be challenging sometimes as well. So but you guys, yeah. You smiled. Do you want to share anything there? I'm not trying to pull anything out, but
no. I think, I mean, looking back to it, it went because we have, we know what works for the relationship, so it was no different there. I have things that I like to do, and I know what she likes to do. So I'm more of a planner, for example, but I always make sure to put in things that I know she likes, so the wineries and all that kind of things. It's for her, right? So if I do the driving, I'm very happy. So that's the deal for me. And there was a lot of driving. I think it was 15,000 kilometers in total, because we went through Eastern Europe on the way back as well.
Yeah, that is a lot of driving. And that's, I guess, referring back to when I mentioned if you're from the US, maybe you go to Florida or Cancun. Not everybody, obviously. There's, a lot of people and we do a lot of different things. But I grew up in Wyoming. So if I were to drive as far as you went on this trip, I could probably drive from Wyoming to Florida and it would be pretty much the same food, the same language, the same everything the entire way. So when somebody from Sweden talks about, yeah, we took the car and drove to Portugal and then over to France and the Amalfi Coast, I'm like, it's almost, and I'm a full-time traveler. It's hard for me to get my head around how cool that is. So do you think Europeans really appreciate how cool that is, or does it just, whatever?
I do think so, because a lot of people travel in their own countries as well. Especially if you're from France and Italy, of course, because we see a lot of local domestic tourism as well in these countries, and I think that's great. So yeah, I think they appreciate it, definitely.
Did you? Because obviously you can travel around a lot of these places by train as well. So are you happy with the choice to take the car? Would a train have been a similar experience? How do you compare and contrast? Obviously everybody has their own, but maybe you have some unique insights that other people don't have.
Trains can be great. We do a lot of train-related content as well, of course. So night trains and stuff like that in Europe. And I think Europe is the great continent to do train travel. But for this particular trip, the car was irreplaceable, because we had a lot of stuff, obviously being away for 5 months, and she's great with food, and I'm very picky. I don't like to eat out that much. So we had a lot of stuff with us, and for that regard, let's not get into that. It's a long story, but, so yeah, we had a lot of stuff. So the car, and then, just for the spontaneousness also, we're close to this place, let's take the car there. It's much easier to do those things when you're in control of the transport mode yourself. So
I was going to think that would be probably my biggest difference would be the car just allows me to have so much more flexibility over the spontaneity, I've been on a bus so many times where I drive past a really cool looking something on the side of the road. Like, what is that? Man, I really want to stop and check that out, but
exactly,
it's not really an option. Or, it could be an option if you're willing to ask the driver to stop, let you out, and then try and catch the next bus. But that, it just gets a lot more complicated. So I often think having a car is pretty beneficial if you're the type that does that. If you just drive to your next hotel and hang out there for a month and walk everywhere and stay in the city, then maybe you don't need it. But anyway, we've discussed quite a few things. Super fascinating, and I'm curious, Richard. What did I forget to ask you? What do you wish I'd asked you, or what do you want to make sure our listeners know about either you, your magazine, your company, or life in general? What would you want to throw out there before we wrap up?
Well, I hope the subject matter and the type of travel philosophy that we stand for and write about is interesting. And if it is, I would encourage people to either follow me on LinkedIn, or if you're in the industry, I would encourage you to read our recently launched report, the Deep Travel Report 2025, which is available on the website for free. Just register with your email and download it. Lots of good tips on how to position yourself, how to communicate to attract this type of deep traveler, which is a very hard to please type of character with lots of demands and stuff, right? But also long staying, high spending, and experience driven. So there's a lot of potential upsides as well in terms of revenue, right? So that's what I would say. Follow and read, and subscribe to the newsletter, of course, for more general updates, and otherwise travel deep is what I would say. It's a much better way of traveling.
I love it. It's a great message. It's something that definitely resonates with me. Even, our business names, One Planet Journey, Big World Made Small. I kind of think we're thinking kind of the same, it's and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come join us. And look forward to collaborating on some projects with you in the future, just kind of following what you're doing. It's super exciting. So thanks, Richard. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Chat with you soon. Bye.
Bye.
I trust you enjoyed listening to the conversation as much as I enjoyed recording it. If you're enjoying the Big World Made Small podcast, please take a moment to tell the algorithm by subscribing and posting a review so that others can benefit as well. I also invite you to take a quick trip over to bigworldmadesmall.com and join our private adventure travel community to receive new episode notifications, special access to our guest experts, and perhaps even some exclusive partner offers that we haven't discussed on the podcast. I'll publish another episode soon. Until then, keep exploring. It's the best way to make a big world feel just a bit smaller.